for Poch and the boys. Very sad to see that All-Star cars go home real quick. That's kind of the biggest storyline. So let's play the music right off that one, huh?
Bang.
Bing bang.
Big bang. Woo!
We've got A-League to cover. We've got EPL to cover. We've got some administration changes going on in the world of the Ballon d'Or that we need to get across. But let's just jump right into the Champions League because
The
we got
meat
to get
and
it out.
potatoes. Let's
Yeah,
jump in the Benzema whip.
Hey,
The
let's go through the
Mercedes.
other games. Let's go through the other games real quick because they were sort of more par for the course. Let's say.
Yeah.
Bayern beat Salzburg by several goals. It was like 6-1, 7-1.
Bayern beat Red Bull Seltzer 7-1.
Seltzer.
Red Bull Seltzer gets beat 7-1.
Jesus,
Honestly,
Salzburg.
I reckon it was just vengeance for making the game, for playing so poorly and giving him a glimmer of hope in the first place.
Yeah.
It was just swift vengeance. It's like, how dare you think you're as good as us? Just wail on him.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Just relentless. But also, it was kind of more impressive because, yeah, they went and beat the hell out of them. But like Salzburg didn't, they weren't awful. They weren't, they weren't like they weren't lambs to slaughter. They tried. Like they genuinely did try. But it's sort of like kudos to the Bayern team for really going into another gear. You know what I'm saying? Like you rarely see that in world football these days. They get a couple goals up and they start going, I want to keep myself fresh for the next game, and they look elsewhere. But no, they really wanted to make a point out of it, and it was good. It was like obviously it was a crazy scoreline, but it was impressive nonetheless. It didn't seem like just one team got blown out. Obviously that's what the scoreline said, but if you watch Bayern's performance, it was deserving of all those goals. You know what I mean?
100%.
So,
Yeah, and they
scary
quickly too. I think pretty much it was done in the first half. I think it was 3 or 4-0 at that stage.
Yep.
But yeah, no, 100% scary. Like you said, scary stuff. If Bayern's capable of doing this and finding this other gear, they've won it not too long ago against PSG in 2020. Obviously, different coach, but pretty much the makeup of the team is rather similar. So. It's hopefully. I think Nagelsmann's been kind of patchy this year.
It's the big games, huh?
Yeah,
it's the big games.
It's the big games, but I also think that their back line is also not at full strength because you still have Davies. I believe he's only just come back, or he's on the road to coming back soon from his heart problems. They've chopped and changed a lot of centre backs. Obviously, Alaba left at the start of this season as a free agent, so they've had to plug some holes.
Yeah, Sule's on the way out. Yeah.
So they've had a few issues at the back. But I mean, look, anyone with a striker like Lewandowski up top is always half a chance of getting getting a result.
and a really balanced, solid team. That knows how they want to play, and they have a coach that's driving them towards that goal. Like it lines up. The only thing is that I've just found so far in the big games, Nagelsmann, he's not like a Guardiola type where he's overthinking games, but it's sort of like underthinking them. Like I feel like he doesn't. I don't know what he. I don't feel like he tries to get his team to step up. It's almost like if we get what we always do right down perfect, that's good enough to beat everyone, right? Whereas I feel like in the big games against big coaches, the best teams are always making those slight adjustments to their tactics. They're not just trying to be the best version of themselves. They're trying to be the best version that's, compatible with their opponent. I haven't seen that from Nagelsmann. I didn't see that at Leipzig. That was an issue. Like they played the same all the time. It's sort of like a criticism you can have of these styles of coaches, like the Bielsas and all that they maybe don't adjust when they need to. If you go look in the big fixtures, they've dropped points against some teams that that have been sort of like boogeymen for them for the last couple of seasons. So you'd think going into those games, Nagelsmann would feel like they have a point to prove. Like, hey, these guys have beaten us a few times before. Let's get those things right and make a statement here. But they've still gone in and lost there. So I'm curious to see when they go through because, realistically, Salzburg is not really the highest level competition they're going to face here. I want to know what it's like against the bigger opponents. Not to say that they haven't performed in the Champions League so far; they were good in the group stage. It's just Nagelsmann against the big teams. What's his ace in the hole? You know, what are the make? Does he have the makings of like that big game coach that can make the adjustment, make the right substitute at the right time to really impact the game? We haven't really seen that so far from him.
100%.
Now, also that another fixture that sort of went the way we expected: City versus Sporting.
No, mate.
Quick one on that one. Nothing really happened in that game.
Nope.
Score was 0-0, and it looked like a 0-0, didn't it?
It looked like just a bunch of guys doing it, going out there just because they have to. It's an obligation. Yeah. It was an obligatory game. There wasn't a contest.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. So, look, 0-0. I guess there's a bit of pride in that for Sporting to not concede a goal in City Stadium, right? Because I'm pretty sure they played in Manchester. So, there's something to take away there for Sporting, a bit of pride there for them, I suppose. But for the most part, nothing really happened in that game. Inter versus Liverpool, or I should say Liverpool versus Inter, since it was at Anfield. To be honest, Inter did themselves, a lot of good, a lot to be proud of.
Yep.
They got themselves a goal. Lautaro Martinez with his only goal in the Champions League so far this year, and that's it because he's obviously bounced out. It was a good goal, but unfortunately, it still just counts for one. And they bounce out. And in all honesty, just a bit of, I wouldn't say a low performance from Liverpool, because they created a lot of chances, and they were, Mo Salah hit the post what felt like 100 times, and there was chances for them to put goals on the score sheet and get clear of Inter, but those chances weren't taken. And you sort of felt bad for Inter because they took their chance when they got it. And then like 2 minutes later, Alexis Sanchez gets a red card. Did you see the red card? What did you think?
No, I didn't see the red card. I just saw the photos of his reaction after, and he's just like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. I fucked up.
But, if you watch it, it seems a bit harsh. So his first yellow could have easily been a red as well. It was like a yellow and a half, where it was like, you kind of want to give him a red, but it's sort of just barely under. So here's a yellow, and you get lucky, sort of thing.
Yeah.
The second one was like a 0.5. Like, it was not a yellow, but it was still a foul. And I felt like he carried the one from the previous yellow, and he put it all together. Because what happens is the ball bounces. Alexis Sanchez goes in. He wins the ball first, right? He continues his motion, but his foot's not up. His foot's down, and he clips the guy down. And you just don't really see that when the guy wins the ball. His foot's pointing down. He's doing all the right thing. Like, he's not going to stop momentum. Like, that's impossible. But he gives him the red, and it's just kind of like, it's a bit harsh. But your first yellow probably could have been a red as well. So it's a bit of negotiation on that. You don't really know where to go with it. So you just feel bad.
You shouldn't have gone for a dicey tackle if you're already on a yellow. Maybe pull out, or like it's On the other side, it's kind of on Sanchez as well. Like, he knows he's got a yellow, and he only, I think they weren't too far apart, the two yellows. I think it was about.
No, they were far apart. They were far apart. Yeah,
I thought they were far apart. But, again, look, his face says it all. So he knows he shat on the floor. And he had that what do you call it? That guilty dog face. So
I think because, like, even he probably would have felt like, I probably clipped him a bit too much there. But on the replay, it's kind of like, well, what's he gonna do? But at the same time, like you say, you're on a yellow. Maybe just stay away from that tackle in the first place. Don't gamble it. But him and Vidal, they really turned back the clock. They were terrific. They were amazing. It was ridiculous, how well they played, and how much they ran, and how much they pressed, and how many times they won the ball back. It was ridiculous. But yep, look, 1-0 wasn't enough. They break Liverpool's undefeated streak at Anfield for, I don't know, it was like a few months, but they break that.
I think that's a league statistic, not across all competition, because I think
it's just Champions League. It's just Champions League.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because I know there's the statistic of Van Dijk not losing in 60 games at Anfield, and apparently that's a league stat. But I can't. Everyone wants to pluck stats to make sure that their narrative survives.
But either way, they got some pride out of it. They beat Liverpool at home. They weren't terrible. They actually did play quite well. Um, it was just kind of like and Lautaro's goal just sort of highlights it was too little, too late. You know,
Mm.
when your striker scores his only goal in the Champions League in the last game of your run, then you know that you're running on fumes at that point. So
Mm.
look, either way, bit of pride for him. They're probably going to go back to the league and maybe win it. They're doing well this year. But look, Liverpool charge us through, and I don't really see them bounce. Like they've played so well, Liverpool. I just don't see them struggling against any opposition unless it's like your Bayerns or your Man Cities. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now getting into the final game and probably the biggest game by far, probably the most interesting Champions League game of the last few years. Probably like
Oh,
since the Barca Liverpool one.
probably, I'd say it's definitely been. I don't know. We've had I think what adds to it is the narrative behind the result. All the
Yeah,
drama that happened after with the fighting, the yelling at the referees, the nature
yeah,
of how they collapsed, the way that they pretty much played three halves of great football.
yeah,
To gap themselves between the opposition and then undone
yeah.
themselves in the last 30 minutes of the
There's
last
there's also the
half
fact
of
that
the game.
Mbappe most likely going to be going there, you
Yeah.
know. So anyways, let's just recap the game real quick, so people know the go. So PSG lose 3-1 to Real Madrid. Uh, Absolutely ridiculous, absolute scenes. Benzema stole the show, man. Some key performances, but from Modric. You mentioned
Mhm,
Camavinga as well being
mm.
ridiculous this game.
Fantastic,
Val
yeah.
yeah, yep. Valverde just endless running the whole
Mm.
time, just never stopping. The combination of him, Camavinga, and Modric, it's such an unbelievably balanced midfield. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like maybe you look at it on paper and no one immediately jumps out to you as the defensive midfielder, so to speak.
Yeah.
But Valverde and Camavinga and Modric's work rates are so high. Like Modric's tackle on Messi in like the 70th minute, where he's like just running back and catching him on the wing. Like that's a 36-year-old man doing that run.
Mm.
If his name was Ronaldo or Messi, I mean he'd be winning the Ballon d'Or.
Mm.
That's the reality of it. Like for some reason, when a 36-year-old Messi or Ronaldo does something, it's much more. He's a veteran. How is his legs doing it? But Modric has
Mm.
been considerably more consistent than either of those two guys for the last year at least.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe since like yeah, probably after the Euros, Copa America time up until now,
Mhm.
he's probably been much more consistent than
Mm.
either of them. Um, and then we get Mbappe scoring the only PSG goal of this game and performing relatively well throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the marquee guys, right? So the Modric, Camavinga, Valverde, Benzema, Mbappe. Funny enough, they're all probably going to be Real Madrid players next season.
Mhm.
Um, so after we see Mbappe's goal, what do you reckon happened? We get like a sort of like a not a deflating from PSG, but sort of like a cruise control. You know, it's all
Yeah.
hunky dory.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, to be fair, I think even before Mbappe's goal, they kind of were, I guess, jittery
Hmm,
throughout. I just think I think you're right. They took their foot off the gas. They eased right off. I think the substitution of Paredes as well kind of took some I guess some of the teeth out of the midfield because he was
oh
doing a
yeah,
lot of legwork and a lot of I guess some of the dirty work in midfield, just breaking up play. But he
hmm
was on a yellow card, and knowing his temperament, he could have been sent off. So we could have ended up the same way. I just think that they really I think they. It's hard. I don't think you can't square it on Mbappe because I don't think the guy did a.
no,
He played 10 out of 10. He scored a goal. He was the only guy that looked like a threat.
yep,
Messi again. Once Madrid started taking more of the ball, they really didn't have anything to use in attack. Really, it was just one way traffic after that, and you could
yep,
tell it was the momentum was shifting. And credit to Ancelotti for making the sub of Cruz and Asensio for Rodrigo and Camavinga. I think that pretty
yeah,
much won him the game.
it did. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and, and I just I just can't quite figure out what happened because it happened so quickly. Granted, it was 30 minutes, but I mean, the
Yeah,
first goal happens, it kind of bobbles around, and unfortunate for Marquinhos, he blocks it, but it still goes in.
yep.
You know, there's nothing you can do about that. I think
No,
that
nothing at all.
the build up before that was the key reason why that goal went in the first place
Yeah,
because it just
yeah,
kind of stopped for a second, and Modric plays a wonderful pass into Benza. Um, but then the second goal where the second goal they concede to make it 3-1 where you know they literally give it away from half from the kickoff was just a
yep.
complete capitulation. And granted, like, you know, I don't know, the ball kind of got to Marquinhos, he stuck a foot out and it flies out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know,
I
if it
think
was more,
it's I think it's like it's less about what happened and
mm,
more about like what PSG didn't do. Then that third
mm,
goal is the most telling of it, right?
mm,
How can it
mm,
be that you've just conceded the goal that, essentially is it's put your opposition right back in it in
mm,
the home stadium, like when it was 2-2, it's suddenly the
game
pendulum has
on.
swung
Mm,
all the way the other way. It's
mm,
no longer like, it's not trending towards Madrid. It's totally in their favor. It's an
mm,
equal game with a few minutes left, and you're at their stadium. Like you're the prey for slaughter now. Why
mm,
is it that at that time there's no reaction? The kickoff is taken really quickly. They don't try to settle the team or adjust
mhm,
tactics or, hey, hold on and let's pass backwards and keep the ball for some time and
mm,
kill some of the game a little bit, take some momentum out before we press on. There's none of that, right?
mm.
Then they lose the ball straight away, which is just a low IQ move to do after you've just conceded two goals relatively in quick succession. You know what I
When the
mean? Like you
momentum
don't
swung all the way over.
exactly. You've got a relatively decent side. Pass the ball around a little bit. Make
Mm,
these 36, 37-year-old players that they got. Make them run a little bit.
mm,
Do something like that. Bit of high IQ stuff. That didn't happen.
mm,
They
mm,
lose the ball immediately, right? Then Madrid just glides through the inexistent midfield, right? Just not
mm,
there. No one's
mm,
no one's there to do anything. There's no reaction. It's just sort of passive, right? Goes through there. Then it gets all the way into their box, and Marquinhos makes the interception, and it goes straight across his goal, right?
mhm,
This you're in a essentially a life or death situation as a defender, right? I get what Marquinhos does there. Probably isn't the best move, It's a
mhm.
clearance across the
Kinda
box,
stabs at it, yeah.
kind of stabs at it, but it's also kind of telling that the whole defensive line that is next to him has collapsed in behind him, right?
Mm,
To the point where Benzema is able to kind of come across like that to that ball, and none of them are in front of him to
mm,
block him, right?
mhm,
That's
mhm,
a reaction because they're sort of, I don't want to say they're scared, but they're panicking. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm,
And that's
mhm,
sort of where I think the fall is for PSG. It's not the things that they did do, because there wasn't a whole lot of mistakes made, right? It was more that I was expecting more of a reaction from these high level players being led by one of the highest level coaches in the game. Why are they so shell shocked? You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, yes, it's you've Real Madrid's equalized, but you're in the Bernabeu playing into a really good team against several players that have won best player awards and goal scorer. Like, you can't be completely taken aback. And you've got to have some sort of belief in you when you've got that front three in front of you. Why
mm,
was there none of that? That's sort of the
mm,
most telling thing, is like, why do they have no spine? It's sort of illogical, right? Like, they've got so many leaders on that team, but no
mm,
leadership.
I just think the fact again, they didn't complete the job. Like they were high and dry for again 3/4 of the two legs. Pretty much 160 minutes they were high and dry. It's the
Yep.
last 30 minutes that they let themselves down. And to be fair, the first half they played all right. They controlled the game. They didn't really make too many mistakes. Granted, Madrid
Yep.
was sitting deep and made it difficult for them to attack. But I mean, as the goal for them came about, it was a great move, great dink over the top from was it Neymar that
Neymar.
popped the
Neymar.
ball over the top? Yeah, pops the
Yep.
ball over the top, and then Mbappe finishes. And he had chances before that. Obviously, if you had taken them, give different result, but you can't take every chance that comes your way. It's as long as you're creating the chances and keeping Madrid,
Yeah. Yeah.
honest. That's a good thing. You're keeping them
Yeah.
away from your goal, but then they just completely again, it's like when a fighter gets when the favorite fighter gets stunned for the first time unexpectedly in a fight, and then they
Yeah,
kind of get shell shocked a little bit, and they don't know, like they're trying to regather their bearings. I think
yeah.
the
A bit like
first
Chris
goal.
Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. It was like it was like the PSG just unexpectedly, caught is ducked into a punch and got kind of stunned, and then they lost their bearings altogether. They forgot what they were, what the
Yeah,
goal
yeah.
was, and
Well,
and what the aim was, where they were in the game.
yeah, well, Benzema's third goal is like the perfect. It's like the football equivalent of someone getting stunned, and
Hmm.
then in that sort of disillusion and the discombobulation from the stun, they get finished because they have no
Hmm.
longer their bearings to
Yeah.
defend themselves with. Right?
Yeah.
That's
100%. They
exactly how
forgot.
that game looked. Because
Yeah.
bang comes that second Benzema goal, and they just sort of like, if you watch the PSG kickoff, it's almost as if the players are in autopilot, like
Yeah.
it's
Literally.
scripted. Like, okay, they're
Mm.
going to score a third here. Let's just sort of like innocuously play it between us and like clumsily lose it, and then none of them react. It's crazy. They
No, it
lose
was
the
just, yeah.
ball
They were so
in the
slow.
Bernabeu. This is like, that this is a tense moment, and they're all just kind
Mm.
of like, "Oh, we lost today. That's not good."
Oh
And
shit! They
then that's
scored.
it. There's
They
no
were too
reaction
late to
from them.
react. Yeah.
The
100%.
only player that seems to react with any sort of erraticness or the right sort of desperation you'd expect in that moment is Marquinhos. And because the rest
Mm.
of the team is on his wavelength, right?
Mm.
It actually ends up being part of their failure because he
Mm.
he sort of goes out there and clears that ball a little bit too frantically, and no one's having that same sort. No one's on that wavelength. No one's reacting with him,
Mm.
and the ball goes
Mm.
right to Benzema, and
Mm.
it's just sort of like the perfect symphony of like these guys are they're panicking, they're disorganized, right? And at this point, they're capitulating, and that's exactly what
Mhm.
that was. That third goal is a capitulation. There's no way
Mhm.
around it. No
Yeah.
professional team should concede 10 and a half seconds after they've just conceded.
No. Especially
It's
in such a clutch
ridiculous.
moment where, after the Benzema second goal, they're in the tie now. But
Yeah.
that means you still have extra time. You still have, roughly about 20 minutes, 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to play out
Mm-hmm.
in normal time plus extra time. Recompose yourself, come back and figure it out. Because the GG era, like, look, sometimes maybe some other refs would have called it a foul, but the ref was calling those, wasn't giving those fouls even in the middle of the field for the whole game. So you can't
Yeah.
say, oh, he should have called
No.
foul,
Okay.
and he wasn't
That's
calling
what.
them from the middle of the pitch. But again, you can't let that moment completely just throw you off, and then you completely just fall apart like puff pastry, just
This is
crumble
the thing.
everywhere.
This is the thing. I can actually forgive everything all the way up until the third Benzema goal. I could forgive that,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because okay, the first goal, GG, maybe it's a foul, maybe it's not, whatever,
yeah.
right? The second and third goal, fuck. They're a good team. The Real Madrid playing in the Bernabeu. The crowd was electric. You know what I mean? Like it can happen, right? How do you react to it? You guys are 11 of the best players in the world and arguably have three of the best five in the world playing as your
Mm,
front three. Why the panic? Why the, okay, it's 3-1, game over? You have Benzema scored the winner in the 77th minute. There was
mm,
still a minimum of 13 minutes left. Why did we not see one PSG chance all the way to the end of the game? If
mhm,
if they went down, if they went okay down 3-1 and they're currently losing the game and they go on to lose, but we see in those last 10 minutes Mbappe getting some chances, Neymar getting some chances, what's his name? Messi getting some chances, or some football being created, then you kind of go, well, look, they lost to the better team, right? To a more clutch team, but they still played and they created chance. They were in it till the end, which is
mm,
reflective of the kind of quality that they have, that they should never really give up. But
mm,
for them to go down 3-1 and then spend the last 13, 14 minutes still on the back foot, right, where they've literally been in control for 180 minutes or 160 minutes of the game,
mm.
it was bewildering. It was sort of like that give up mentality that we saw from Manchester United against City the other day,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's like, look, I understand the 5-1 itself is bad and in isolation looks terrible, but if we watch the game and we see you guys fighting and giving it your all and really living up to the quality that's out there, but you still lose 5-1, that it feels different than you giving up, and that's kind of what this PSG game felt like. It didn't just feel like the 3-1 and they capitulated. It felt like they lost and there's nothing here. It looked like this team will never work. These guys don't give a fuck, right? They don't
Yeah.
they don't gel together. How can they go down in such a situation and not even feel themselves the need to at least try to step up just for the fans? Nothing. Passive for
Yeah.
the last 13 minutes. It was
Mm,
ridiculous.
It just looks like Real Madrid would have scored more goals, but I don't know. The teams as a whole this season, PSG have been poor. They got knocked out of the French Cup. They got by a lesser team. They've
Mhm.
against in the league they haven't dropped too many points and haven't had too many losses. But I mean, when you look at it this way, they've versed Nice 3 times and haven't won once. And Nice isn't like you're not going to say Nice is a title fighting team. They're a good plucky team, but they're not a team on the same caliber of PSG. They don't have stars. They literally
No.
create stars for PSG to buy, really. But I mean, you've seen it even in the first leg. Like, granted, they took the winner at home, but there was they labored to get that one goal. Like, it came
Mm.
right at the death.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if Ancelotti makes a change like he did in this game, that could have turned out differently. But again,
Mm.
it's just there just seems to be no trust within each other, no
Yeah.
cohesion.
No.
They
No.
don't want to play for
You,
fight. It
you,
just seems like a drama at this point.
no. Exactly. Exactly. A team with the sort of quality that they have out there should never feel that they're out of a game. It's just
Never. No.
illogical.
Bro,
Like
if you
you've
have
got the kind
Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, you've always have a chance. Literally,
always
all
have
you
a
have to
chance.
do, hoof it forward, get Mbappe to run on it. That's it. That's pretty much just
That's
like they
that's the
got
thing.
their goal.
That's the thing, right? Is like we saw them in the last 15 minutes being just penged back by Real Madrid,
Mm,
just suffocated. And it was
mm,
mental because you kind of go, well, if you're a team without, you don't have a midfield outlet, or you don't have a fast bloke up top, or you don't have a creative winger to sort of distribute the ball to, you can kind of understand how you can get pressed and locked in by a team. You know what I mean? Because there's no real pathways of exit. But they've got like literally every single way in which a team can operate, they can. You know what I
mhm,
mean? They've got if you want to go way over the top and in behind, you got Mbappe. If you want
mm,
to play it into the middle, into someone's feet to hold it up and make a turn, you got Messi, right? If you want to play it out to a wide winger who wants to isolate his man, you got
mhm,
Neymar. Like every way in which that they can exit, they've got. But somehow they were just every ball was just being played right to Real Madrid's feet again. Every
mm.
every second ball was being won by Real Madrid. Like these are things where the coach can't help in that sort of regard. Like what's he
Yeah.
gonna do? What's he
Mm,
gonna do? Is he gonna have to sit down and have a one-on-one talk with every player before the game to psych him up? Like it's if you can't, how can you ask a coach to get professional players to step up in a Champions League knockout game?
mm,
Like if that on its own doesn't get you to want to perform, then there's no real hope for you.
mm.
So I think we saw this team explode. Like we're gonna see pieces go everywhere. You're gonna
For
see
umpteenth
Mbappe go
time.
off. Yeah, you're gonna see Mbappe go off. Anyone that's sort of like ambiguous or 50-50, 140 and 140 out, they're all gone. Poch
Yeah,
is
I feel like
gone.
I feel like
They're all gone.
I feel like Nasser is gonna I think Leonardo is gonna go this season. I think there's gonna be a big change. I think Poch won't make it till the end of the season, or they might give him a super short leash into the next. I think they're gonna part off a lot of blokes that aren't there, and I think there's gonna be a more they're going to bring in more I guess workhorses into the team and change some things around, because again, you can't spend all this money, bring in Messi and hire Poch just to get knocked out again in the round of 16 or bottle
Yeah,
it, to be fair,
yeah,
again.
yeah. Heads will
So
roll for sure.
I think heads will definitely roll. It's just a
Let's
matter of who, what, and when.
let's talk about Leonardo and Nasser because so there was a couple of things came out of this game, right? So the first thing
Mm.
that came out was that Gigi and Neymar had a bust up.
Mm-hmm.
They had some issues. They had to be separated. Apparently, that's all malarkey.
Mm-hmm.
There's a screenshot that Neymar shared of Gigi sending the article about that to Neymar and being like, "Hey, I don't know what this is about. I'm sorry. About yesterday. I don't know what this is." And then he's like, "Hey, don't worry about it. These things happen in football. You're a young kid with a lot of talent. You're gonna go far." That to me, like I feel like nothing even really happened. The PSG
Mm-hmm.
players don't seem the kind of players that stick around the whole lot after the game. You know what I mean? I feel like they all got places to be, things to do. So I don't think they're all like hanging out going, "Hey, you played this way, you played that way." They don't seem like that kind of squad. So
Mm-hmm.
that seemed a
That's
bit
fair.
fake to me. But then the other story that came out that has yet to be quashed was Leonardo and Nasser in their absolute just blind rage, running through the Bernabeu, just banging on random doors, looking for the refs to cuss them out.
Like some Sunday League shit.
Sunday League shit, but isn't that the funniest? Like, just thinking of these two club executives just
In
running around,
suits.
bang, bang. What were they gonna do? Hey, that one goal shouldn't have stood. Like, bro, there was still two other goals, man. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
you guys,
There was another 30 minutes after that, buddy.
yeah, man. Like, it was, it's sort of like they're trying to. They're throwing the toys out of the cot, sort of thing. They're throwing a tantrum because they know that they're in for shit now, because like it's on their head, so to speak. So they're just looking for the scapegoat to put this on. And I think I mentioned it to you before. Had Mbappe played bad, I don't think we would see this reaction from them. I think they would be happy to sort of shift the blame on him. But he played so well. And really, like, no one in the PSG team played so badly that you'd say it's on them. Like, you probably say to Messi, like, hey, maybe not as impactful as the world's best player probably should be. Fair enough,
I'd probably say
But
Neymar played the worst because there's nothing to show for him. I mean, he's got the assist, but I mean, after the assist,
yeah. My thing with Neymar is
alone.
like he's only been back from injury for like a month or something like that, and he's only played like 2 games. So like and like the team hasn't been well gelled the whole way. So like I'm not really expecting him to stand out, so to speak. But at the same time, like you wouldn't blame him for the loss, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I'd say he could have done
Exactly.
more, especially after the
Yeah.
goal. But
But you could say that about all the players, right?
exactly. Yeah, I like
Exactly.
Ashraf,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kimpembe.
Like, would you? I think the only player you could maybe go, okay, he's a decent chunk of blame is Gigi because of that weird shit that he did.
Yeah, weird shit. But also, you could say that I don't know. A lot of parts fell apart. Sorry, a lot of things went wrong and fell apart, which culminated in the result that did happen. I think everyone contributed their own 2 cents in, besides Mbappe, obviously.
Including Leonardo and Nasser.
Yeah, 100%. I think
Because I think using big dollars on someone like Ramos, who didn't even kick a ball for PSG this whole Champions League.
he's played like 7 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, like
Makes Perez look like a 4D chess player, mate. He's like, yeah, all right, cool. You can go pay him what I don't want to pay him. I know he's injured and I know his value. Off you go. Go pay him.
That's
And then see
crazy.
how much he's played 7 games for me last season. Now you're gonna decide to pay him an exorbitant amount just so you can hog your physios.
Bye.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, and literally and on a tangent. Everyone goes, "Oh, Florentino's evil. He doesn't know what he's doing. He spends a lot of money, blah blah blah." But literally, this guy let his two center backs walk. So he lets Ramos walk because he knows he's not healthy enough to stay around, and he wants more money. He let Ronaldo walk when Ronaldo kept asking for more money, more money, more money. Then they ended up winning. I think they ended up winning titles and still staying as Real Madrid and as successful without him. And then he let Varane walk when everyone's like, "Oh wow, why would he let Varane walk? He looks like he's pretty." He literally gets rid of him. He goes, "Look, thank you for your time. We've got a really good offer on the table. You can go to United and get more money." And then he promotes Militao. And then, obviously he keeps the core, but also purchases the likes of Camavinga, stuff like that. I mean, the
you have
guy's
to
a
say,
genius.
like, no, he's tremendous. Like, in terms of the business side of football, they've always got not just a complete squad, a balanced squad with good talent and talismans and all that sort of stuff, but there's always a good mix of youth. There's always a good mix of bargain buys, of cult signings. It's you don't see, he doesn't go down the route of the PSG sort of just throw the money wherever it lands and see what sticks. There's none of that. It's proper football, decisions being made. That's why Real Madrid is such a quality club and has been
Except
such a
for Eden
quality club for
Hazard.
so long. Yeah, but see, Eden Hazard was a shit buy, right? But at the same
After the fact.
time, it's one of those ones that after the fact, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's
At the
no
time, it was
analysis.
no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer. But like, you look at the Ramos move, for example. Like, what evidence did he have? This bloke barely played for him the whole season leading up to it, right? Now you want to get paid more than your average centre back, and you're barely available. Like, it's just he makes the logical business moves most of the time. There are some times where he may splash the cash. There was the Kaká and Ronaldo signing at the same time. You know what I mean? But I feel like he does a good job of hedging his bets.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
he
mean?
really does. Yeah, like he does. Yeah, especially more recently.
Just
I
look at
think.
their track record. Look at how
Mm,
balanced they've been. Look at how
mm,
complete they are all the time.
mm,
Even in their blunder years, which was last year and a bit of this year, right, they're
mm.
still top of La Liga, right? And they've just knocked out arguably the best team on paper in the Champions League.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you can't argue with results, man. Like it's
Nice
just
one, Papa Flo.
yeah, you gotta give it to him. You get it
Mm.
in terms of keeping a club relevant and squad
Competitive.
building. I mean, just you can't really. I'm trying to think of like you could probably. I think Bayern Munich you could probably compare,
Mm,
but my thing with Bayern is I feel that not that they have it easy, but because of the way that the German like that they farm the German league, right?
mm.
It's just less impressive. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
it's not as good. It's just less impressive because Real Madrid are they find like random talent from Brazil and from
Mm,
over there
mm,
and they
mm.
seem to hit on so much. Whereas I feel like it's a bit easier for Bayern Munich in
Yeah,
Germany.
I think the,
Look
the
next
the
door.
crazy part about Bayern is the fact that they do it on a narrow budget. Like they do splash cash. They're not paying pennies for players, but they do splash the cash. But they do it really well, and they rotate, refresh the squad
Yeah.
fairly well.
Yeah.
They get
Yeah.
good coaches. Yes, they do farm the German league, but look, PSG farms a lot of other leagues across the world,
Yeah.
including the French, and they still
Yeah.
get to have anything besides league titles to show.
Yeah.
Bayern, yes, they are dominant in the league, and they pretty much win it on a tilt most times, but they get
Mm.
it done in Europe a lot of the time as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a testament to the fact that they build a team that's able to defend in their own backyard, but also take it to some of the best in Europe. So yeah, no, 100%, two well-run clubs. Props to you.
All right. Well, look, PSG's out of the Champions League. We've seen a couple of the results shake up from the first half of the round of 16. From what you've seen so far, we've seen PSG go through, we've seen City go through, we've seen Liverpool go through, we've seen Bayern go through. Who
Mhm.
are those four do you have going the furthest at the moment?
That's hard to say. I mean, so, I don't know. None of them stand out as superior teams where they by far and away. City probably based on form. I mean, Real Madrid you can't count out now. They've got this in them.
Hmm.
They've got some fight in them. Bayern is again Bayern is Bayern. But I think it's not there. I don't know. It's hard. It's very hard to say.
It is, right?
I
Because
probably say Liverpool maybe, but I don't really believe it when I say it. So I
this
don't
is
want
the
to
thing,
commit
right? All of them come with a little bit of like a pinch of salt, right? Because you
to
got
it.
okay, Bayern, tremendous win, all that, but it's like not the strongest opposition,
There's been
right?
better Bayerns before.
Yeah, right. But the opposition that they face, like it's not tremendous to like take the result
Mm,
so straight to heart. And also
mm,
the first game was a bit of a blueprint of like what can go wrong.
mm,
And then you got into Liverpool. Liverpool, tremendous, looked great the whole way through.
mhm,
And then the second game came, and it was a slightly different story, and they lost 1-0. So
mm,
I'm not saying that that's how they're going to play every game, but
mm,
we've just seen them lose a game. Like, how can I? It just feels illogical to me to be like, yeah, the team that just lost is probably the most likely to win the Champions League. It just feels
No,
strange,
no,
right?
no, no.
So it's a bit of a caveat on that. And then City versus Sporting, same sort of thing as the Salzburg
Mhm,
Bayern game. Not the best competition. The second game is a bit of a snooze fest. So it's like,
mhm,
how much weight do you give that? You don't really know.
And City in the
And then
Champions League in general.
and then Madrid and PSG. Madrid were losing for 160 minutes.
Mm,
So it's like, how much weight do you give that? So it's like, I feel like this Champions League doesn't feel the same as the last two did, where it
mm,
felt like there was, when Bayern won, it felt like Bayern was going to win the whole way through. When
mhm,
Chelsea won, it felt like Bayern was going to win the whole way through,
mm,
right? And then this year, it feel like it's really up in the air. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like we're definitely going to get a locked in City versus Bayern final.
100%. Yeah, I don't know. I think it also depends on the ties. We obviously they're not all complete yet. But we're gonna see how the draw plays out. Because if someone gets an unfavorable matchup, or we get a inconvenient matchup for someone else, it's just gonna, again, it sounds like a bit of a straightforward answer, but we just have to see how it plays out and see how
Hmm.
the luck of the draw really does work out.
Alrighty, EPL. take us through a bit of a recap on this one
Let's
so we
go.
can wrap it
So
up.
obviously, let's start from the furthest one. We had City United last weekend. Look, pretty much kind of went as we predicted. We thought United would
Not as I predicted. I
not as
thought I thought maybe Pep was gonna do a little, a bit too much thinking about this game.
mm,
But no, none of that happened at all.
no, they just did it.
Yep,
He just let it be, let it run its own course.
yep, yep.
But really, I mean, they scored in the 6th minute to kick things off City. Granted, they conceded again and made it 1-1. But pretty much after that second goal, straight back, just the manner of the way they conceded, where Foden a lovely little flick over the top and then rifles it at De Gea, makes a great save, and then for some reason Maguire just does a dummy over the ball, lets it run out to him again, forcing De Gea to make another save, and then eventually
Why?
KDB.
Why?
Why?
Can you like find any reasoning? I
No,
couldn't.
just fucking
Like
kick
I
the
couldn't.
ball. Just,
Yeah, I have
just
no
get it
idea.
away, block it. Do whatever you need to do to get the ball away from them having a shot literally less
Mental.
than a half a meter away, about 30 centimeters from your goal line. Like, just
He was
roof
so
it.
awful.
It's
He was
just
so
weird.
awful.
It just makes no sense. It's bewildering. But then after that, it was pretty much one-way traffic. It deflated United, took the wind out of their sails, and it was pretty much a foregone conclusion for City at that point. We also had Arsenal. They clawed back against lowly Watford. Some great goals in this game. But
Yeah,
yeah, good on Arsenal. I think they're now 4 wins out of their last 5, and undefeated in all 5. I don't think that they haven't lost in their last 5 games. And now they're in 4th as well, with a point advantage. Sorry. Over United and 3 games in hand. So who would have thought Arteta, Lego man, and the boys would be able to go up to 4th and kind of look
what a good
in a
story.
yeah, it really is, off the back of a lot of young talent. Obviously got rocky, but I mean, for the most part, Arsenal have been reasonably consistent. They've won a lot of games, and come back from a few, which we wouldn't have probably thought that would have been the case last season, especially.
Yeah,
Um,
they're just relative to the youth on their team. They've
mm,
been so consistent. Like
mm,
it's just so rare to get that many young players to play that consistently in the EPL. Like
mm,
it's one of the most difficult leagues, if not the most difficult league. You hear about it all the time.
mm,
So to get them to be up for it all the time and be no, like you don't get you haven't seen any of those sort of like uh what do you call them, like brain fart type mistakes
mm,
from Arsenal that we were getting from them the last couple of seasons. So
mm,
significantly more organized, and to do that with a youthful lineup, it seems counterintuitive, right? Like you'd think, okay, you want to cut out the mistakes, you want to get into some, get some more vets on the team, and
mm,
make sure they've got the right head on their shoulders. But no, Arteta's gone the opposite. He's like, no, no, let's clean house. Let's get the young guys in here. We'll get them to buy
mm,
in, and boy, have
mm.
they! It's
And
ridiculous.
a lot
Hello,
of the new signings worked out too.
hello, hello to Spain.
Hello to
Hello,
Spain.
Spain. All of
Hi,
Spain.
Spain. Hello, Spain. But it's no, it was. Look, their new signings have bedded in as well, like the likes of Tomiyasu, um, and Lokonga, and all these little bit piece players as well. And again, it's a credit to the team. They've done really well compared to what they did last season when we thought it was all over for Arteta. They've really done well to turn it around. Let's see what their next step looks like, because it's not done. The season isn't finished, and obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot more work to be done. But it's
Hmm.
finally, after what feels like a saga after saga, coach after coach, signing after signing. It kind of seems like it's finally on a path towards some of the former glory days of Arsenal. So kudos
Yeah.
to you. Someone that's not heading towards the glory days is Everton. They're now 1 point out of the relegation zone and 1 point above.
Yeah.
I believe it might have been Norwich.
Mm.
At this stage, Fat Frank gets walloped, absolutely done for in what seemed to be 45, 46 minutes of game time. They're already down 4-0. to a Spurs side that's been rather inconsistent, for lack of a better term, Spursy, where they've been hot and cold.
Yeah,
Um,
just
but I mean,
toothless.
absolutely toothless. I think Jamie Carragher put it well when he said that back line looks like a championship team. It really just it really begs the question: why did Frank even take this job? Like it was a mammoth effort to get a cohort that's severely under talented, for one, out of form, and really having a nightmare season. What made you think that you could actually turn it around? Like what possessed
I
him to
have
pull it out?
I have an answer.
Here you go. You have an answer.
He
What's
did,
the
yeah,
answer?
he didn't have any other offers.
Yeah, but like, why
I
would you
think that's
take
it. Yeah,
why
because
would
like,
you?
but the thing is, right? He lost the Chelsea job like 8 months ago, 9 months
Mhm.
ago, 10 months
Yeah.
ago, like a long time ago.
Mm,
And nothing. I never really heard any real rumors of him really being actually considered anywhere. Like I
mm.
heard, like, oh, this job would line up
I
well
think
with
maybe
him,
with
or
Villa they considered
yeah,
him, but
yeah, yeah. But like, did you ever feel like it was a genuine consideration
no,
after Gerard
no,
put
but
his hand for it? No, it was gone.
no,
So
maybe.
like, and that was still how long ago was that? That was only a month before. So the fact that he's on the shelf for that long afterwards, and then finally when he gets a job at Everton, makes me think that there probably wasn't a whole lot coming through the door.
To be fair, you know what? I think it's a bit of that, but also the fact that I think he just wanted to coach in the Prem. He didn't want to move. He didn't want to go back to the Championship. He didn't want to, maybe move to a different league. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. Well, when I say no offers, I mean like no offers
No, appeal in the
outside
Prem.
of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like Div One, I reckon it probably like it. I don't think he was getting much in the EPL, and I'm
Mhm.
saying like I don't think he was getting offers from like a La Liga team or a
No,
French
no,
league
no,
team. I
100%.
don't
No.
because the way he kind of went down at Chelsea was like, what did he bring? I don't know. I don't know
It
what he
was.
brought because what was his football? I don't really get to see any of it. So like, if someone was going to take a gamble on him, you don't really know what you're even going to get if he works out. So like, what's the point? Um,
Mm,
you're just kind of getting him on board and hoping that his gravitas as a player is going to mean something.
100%. Yeah, I just bizarre appointment but bizarre decision from Everton, bizarre decision from Frank to take the job on. So I think it's just a loss all around at this stage, and I hope for Everton fans' sake, that they do stay up because they're one of the longest lasting teams in
Mm,
the division. So
yeah,
it would suck to see them go down, not of their own accord, but more so just incompetent management and incompetent boards.
and playing the way they are, they've always been a very spirited team, and lately
Yeah, they
they've
literally,
been
yeah,
anything
no
but.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, what
so
else we got? We've got a bit of a table update. So Arsenal
yes.
now in fourth,
Mhm,
United in fifth. You've kind of touched on that before.
mhm.
Um, but now what's going on with West Ham? They're slipping a little bit.
So West Ham's, their form is. I guess they're getting the fixture congestion maybe playing a part because they are playing in Europa League. But also I think that the lack of depth really is kind of catching up to them now. They've stagnated. I wouldn't say they've started free falling. Just a stagnation where they've gotten a few draws where they should have won, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, I think they look. There's still 2 points. Within striking distance of United, so it's not all over. I just think they need to really start picking up some points. Otherwise, I don't see them, really going ahead and pushing on for fourth. We've got Spurs level on 45 with West Ham, but they have 2 games in hand, and then you've got Wolves 2 points behind the both of them. And I believe they're level on. I think they're up to date on 28 games, no games in hand. So yeah, it's. I think they need to start picking up some points, otherwise the rest of them will catch up. And it's oddly enough, looking at Spurs, they're 2 points away from United in fifth, who's 1 point behind Arsenal in fourth. So one little slip up or a little patch here and there where it starts to go
Mm.
down. It's definitely all up for grabs. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna grab a charger.
Are you gonna? Oh, you're gonna get charged. Ha ha ha. And we're gonna get to the Ballon d'Or and the changes there. But while I wait, how about some questions from the audience? Where are we from? We're from Australia, as you can tell by these lovely accents. Um, the country that loves football, loves balls actually. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yeah, you
still
can
hear.
still
That's
hear
a
me.
good one.
All right, cool. What do you what do you have what do you have for the Ballon d'Or changes? Because like all I remember from reading the list this morning was that they're no longer considering it the calendar year, that it's the
The
European
Balloon
League season.
Door. Let's pull up the post I saw.
So
Like,
there's been some changes.
there's been some
They've
changes,
they've
some
taken in some
adjustments.
community feedback.
They've tabled some ideas. So the award period will go for the European season rather than the calendar year. I think that's smart because in the calendar year, if you look at it from January to December, seasons finish. Well, I mean, seasons heat up really in January when the fixture when the after the Christmas break and the New Year break, you kind of head into I guess, the second half of the season, and then your season will finish in July, and then um, you have the August the kickoff, or something around that
Yeah.
time, European summertime they kick off. So to kind of, it's considering half and a quarter of a season plus any
Mm.
international tournaments if the calendar's scheduled in for some. So I think it's a smarter move to just consider it for the season rather than the year. Um, the award will consider players' individual performance, collective performance, the class of a player, which is in the class being in quotation marks, of a player, and their fair play record. So if you're let's say, I don't know, you're a bit of a spicy character on the field and you've gotten a few reds or a yellow, that would be in consideration, which is bizarre to take into. And what does your teams in the perform like? I get part of the narrative is like, oh, the team didn't win anything, blah, blah, blah. But like,
Yeah.
if that man drags them to a semi-final where they have no business being in there, what kind of argument can you have against giving him the trophy if he's the best player to do it?
You sorry, I just dropped my phone. I feel like it's they've put these rules in off the back of the response and the reaction people have had to at the last Ballon d'Or selection. There was the
Mm,
whole thing of like, oh, Lewandowski should have got it because of his performances last year, and they didn't
mm,
give it, so they put that rule in. It's
mm,
not going to be considered, blah blah blah. They had like, oh, Messi's team or Lewandowski should have won it because they won all these titles, or Messi shouldn't have won it because Barca didn't win the league, right? It's because of the Copa America. So they've put it, all right, fine, let's quash that too. Now we are taking into consideration what the teams are. So I feel like they've gone through and like all these sort of complaints that people had, they've tried to like add in rules that shut those people up next time.
mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that next time when
yeah,
they have those complaints, they go, hey, but we're following the new criteria.
yeah,
So
and
I feel like it's a bit of a cop out.
yeah, it is. And I also think, how they could have shut up the people who had the issue with Lewandowski not winning the Ballon d'Or, having the Ballon d'Or virtually in 2020 when we were under restrictions and lockdown and travel wasn't possible. Everyone
Yeah.
else did it. Everyone else had a virtual version of their awards or
Plus,
a
wasn't there other football awards done that did the same thing? Like I'm
no,
pretty sure
I
UEFA's
can't remember.
awards did. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure
I'm
because
sure, I'm
there's
sure there
other
was
ones.
100% there was a way around it. It's just that they went, no, we don't want to do it if we can't have the gala,
Yeah.
if we can't have the white tablecloths on our table, and people can't put tuxedos and smile for the camera. We can't have it. And it's like literally the one time you can do the right thing, and the person that breaks the Messi Ronaldo I guess stranglehold on the award, you
Yeah.
go, nah, I don't want to do it. So now you have to do all these retroactive changes to please
Stupid.
these people and appease, and it's just so dumb. It's just so short sighted. It doesn't make any sense. And then a player's performances in the previous years will not be considered when voting for the winner, as if it would. Only the representatives of the first 100 countries in the FIFA rankings for men's awards and the first 50 will be qualified. First 50 in the women's
Yep.
rankings will be qualified for voting. So essentially, no block voting from, I don't know, San Marino or something like that.
Not how crazy is that? Like I just think I know that it's very unlikely that there'll be this great player that's from a team that isn't in the top 100, because the top
Mm,
100, especially for men's, top
mm,
100 is like you're pretty much capturing
mm-hmm,
everybody. Like there's really
mm-hmm,
no one outside of that 100. Like
mm-hmm,
there's teams that are 30th that are terrible. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
like I think it's a big enough bracket. But I just think how funny would it be if there's a time where there's this guy that's tremendous, but he plays for a team that's just awful. Awful.
Yeah, I
Like they're not
know.
even. top 250. They're just way out there. Like, what are they going to do? Is that racist at that point? Like, what is that? It's just, I feel like that of all the rule changes, it's the least effectual. Like, what's it for? Who was it blocking?
What does it
Was
mean?
there
Like,
this?
what's the
Did
point?
some dude from San Marino win a Ballon d'Or and everyone was like, it's a cop out? Like, no, I don't understand. It just, it was such a nonsensical rule to have.
I don't know. It doesn't make
Dumb
any
stuff.
sense to me. The
But
whole
look,
Ballon d'Ors are a bit of a getting to
fast.
the
Yeah.
towards a fast now. It's like, oh, we'll do it in a calendar year. Oh, we'll consider all these things, including the fair player record. It's like, dude, what happened to the consensus pick for the best player? Who is it? He's the voting. Bang, make it happen.
You know what? You know what Twitch should do if they were smart is they should start their own football awards and have all the footballers that stream, right, like Aguero and all that. They should be the voters, right? Because think how much clout that would get straight away. Because all the footballers would back the other footballers. Like, yeah, it means more because it's other footballers voting for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Twitch would market it like crazy, and you'd never have to hire out a room to put it in a gala or something like that.
You don't need a tuxedo.
Exactly. Just throw it onto a couple of screens, get a couple of screen shares going, and you're good. Like, I think that there's going to be, when I saw this rule change, it's kind of how I felt when I saw the rule change from the Champions League. I was kind of like, oh, you give it an opening there because you're sort of diluting what you are at a time where people are already losing respect for it. Now you're just making it, you're opening up the field for other competitors to enter into the market. And I think we're going to see that with the Ballon d'Or. People are losing respect for it. I'm waiting for either a new publication, because the Ballon d'Or is just a writer's award. Either a new publication or someone will come in and sort of jump into that power vacuum. I think it'd be smart. OnlyFans. The OnlyFans Best Player Award.
God. Good God, that's nuts.
Ronaldo would die. He'd love that. He'd love that. He's like, I can cash in on my 400 million followers. Yes, please.
God, what a weird,
he already did a shower stream the other day.
Oh yeah, that was weird. His team's getting bollocked. I'll just go have a shower.
Shower stream, love it. God bless.
All right. Well, freak.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can catch the replay on Spotify, on YouTube, a little bit on Twitch as well. Follow us on the socials at @LastGoalWinsPod_, at Last Goal Wins Podcast on Facebook, at Last Goal Wins Pod on Twitter. All glory be to Bozza. Wow.